Purpose of the UCI. 1 Peter chapter 4, verses 7 through 11. But the end of all things is at hand. Ye therefore sober and watch unto prayer. And above all things have fervent love among yourselves, for love shall cover the multitude of sins. Use hospitality one to another without grudging. As every man has received the gift, even so minister the same one to another as good stewards of the manifold grace of Elohim. If any man speak, let him speak as oracles of Elohim. If any man minister, let him do it as of the ability which Elohim gives, that Elohim in all things may be glorified through Yahshua the Mashiach, to whom be praise and dominion forever and ever. Amen. Ephesians chapter 4, verses 29 through chapter 5 and verse 4. Let no corrupt communication proceed out of your mouth, but that which is good to the use of edifying, that it may minister grace unto the hearers. And grieve not the Holy Spirit of Elohim, whereby you're sealed until the day of redemption. Let all bitterness and wrath and anger and clamor and evil speaking be put away from you with all malice. And be you kind one to another, tender-hearted, forgiving one another, even as Elohim for Yahshua's sake has forgiven you. Be you therefore followers of Elohim, as their children, and walk in love, as the Mashiach also have loved us, and has given himself for us an offering and sacrifice to Elohim for a sweet-smelling savor. But fornication, and all uncleanness, or covetousness, let it not be once named among you as become saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor jesting, which are not convenient, but rather given of thanks. Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verses 1 and 2. Keep your foot when you go to the house of Elohim, and be more ready to hear than to give the sacrifice of fools, for they consider not that they do evil. Be not rash with your mouth, and let not your heart be hasty to utter anything before Elohim. For Elohim is in heaven, and you up on earth. Therefore, let your words be few. Exodus chapter 23, verses 20 and 21. Behold, I send an angel before you to keep you in the way, and to bring you into the place which I have prepared. Beware of him, and obey his voice. Provoke him not, for he will not pardon your transgressions, for my name is in him. Revelations chapter 3, verses 20 through 22. Behold, I stand at the door and knock. If any man hear my voice and open the door, I will come in to him and will sup with him, and he with me. To him that overcomes will I grant to sit with me in my throne, even as I have also overcame and am sat down with my Father in his throne. He that has an ear, let him hear what the Spirit says unto the churches.
All right. And tonight we're going to have a selection by our choir. And, praise Yahweh, we never had the opportunity to do this before. So, it is a blessing from Yahweh. We are still in our getting things together phase, but it is a beautiful thing to do that. So I'll turn that over to the choir now.
Shabbat Shalom. Our scripture reading for today is Revelation 8, verse 2, 6, and 7. I saw the 7 angels which stood before Elohim, and to them were given 7 trumpets. And the 7 angels which had the 7 trumpets prepared themselves to sound. The first angel sounded, and there followed hail and fire mingled with blood, and they were cast upon the earth. And the third part of the trees were burnt up, and all green grass was burnt up.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Our selection today, Where Shall I Be?
Where shall I be? When
Where shall I be when it sounds so loud? When it sounds so loud, till it wakes up the dead. Where shall I be when it sounds?
Oh, children,
Where shall I be when the first trumpet sounds? Where shall I be when it sounds so loud? When it sounds so loud, till it wakes up the dead. Where shall I be when it sounds?
oh, I'll be
Somewhere listening,
oh, I'll be
somewhere listening,
oh, I'll be
somewhere listening for my name.
oh, I'll be
Somewhere listening,
oh, I'll be
somewhere listening,
oh, I'll be
somewhere listening for my name.
when he
Calls me,
I will
answer.
when he
Calls me,
I will
answer.
when he
Calls me,
I will
answer. I'll be somewhere listening for my name.
when he
Calls me,
I will
answer.
when he
Calls me,
I will
answer.
when he
Calls me,
I will
answer. I'll be somewhere listening for my name.
When it sounds so loud, till it wakes up the dead. Where shall I be when it sounds?
Praise Yahweh. And I know they didn't get a chance to practice, but Yahweh is absolutely marvelous in the blessings that He allows for us to have. And when you get right down to it, we don't deserve the things that He has bestowed upon us. Part of the whole idea, the thought process behind trumpets, if you've been listening to the things that we've been teaching from Sabbath to Sabbath and holy day to holy day, we understand that the trumpet, his voice is in that trumpet. That's a part of His voice. When you talk about great thunders and you're talking about a trumpet, do you know how high pitch a trumpet is? Even when Yahweh is being calm, is power in that. And that's something that we have to consider. But then there are different frequencies of sound, because you have to ask yourself, how is it that some people can hear and others can't? Some people say they heard a voice. Other people say they heard a sound. What controls the frequency in which we hear? So that's something that we have to think about. Now, various animals have their differences when it comes to disseminating sound. The way in which animals perceive sound is based upon their species. When a particular species hears in a certain manner, all the animals of that species hear the same way. When it comes to mankind, however, he hears with his ears, but he also hears with his consciousness. The latter part is a variable that is programmable based upon the encounters of that specific individual. When a person has been desensitized to a particular sound, after a while, that particular sound is removed from man's consciousness and is deemed unworthy of hearing. So the ears follow suit and reject the sounds being presented. Let's begin tonight in Exodus chapter 19, and we're going to read verses 9 through 20.
Exodus chapter 19 and verse 9. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Lo, I come unto you in a thick cloud, that the people may hear when I speak with you, and believe you forever. And Moshe told the words of the people unto Yahweh. And Yahweh said unto Moshe, Go unto the people, and sanctify them today and tomorrow, and let them wash their clothes.
Now, he says, I come to you in a thick cloud that the people may believe you. Moshe didn't need reassuring. He did that for the people. Understanding that these people were going to have an issue. They were going to have a problem. You sure Yahweh talking to him? He said, I'm doing this for you, so that they will believe you. And even with all that, you see how much problems he had, even with Yahweh showing the people that he did talk to Moshe. Go ahead.
And be ready against the third day. For the third day Yahweh will come down in the sight of all the people upon Mount Sinai. And you shall set bonds unto the people round about, saying, Take heed to yourselves, that you go not up into the mount, or touch the border of it. Whosoever touches the mount shall be surely put to death. There shall not an hand touch it, but he shall surely be stoned or shot through, whether it be beast or man, it shall not live. When the trumpet sounds long, they shall come up to the mount.
You know, Yahweh goes over things so that it will become repetitive to us. You understand that when something is repetitive, you don't have to think about it. You just do it. Because at that point, it becomes what they call muscle memory. You can do it without thinking. Now, the opposite is true as well. That sometimes you don't do something because you can't. And then when you can, it throws you off. Out of nowhere, we start having this conversation about, possibly singing on a holy day. It was never a thought before because we couldn't do it. Because the same area that we needed where the choir was, we used that for seating. And those arrangements were already made. So after years and years of operating that way, muscle memory just put us right back in the thought without us considering, we don't have to do that, right? Well, Yahweh wants us to have muscle memory with certain things. That's why he's going through, these things over and over saying, okay, this is what should be done. This is how this is supposed to be done. You get that down in muscle memory and it takes over. Go ahead.
Exodus chapter 19 and verse 14. And Moshe went down from the mount unto the people and sanctified the people, and they washed their clothes. And he said unto the people, Be ready against the third day. Come not at your wives.
Now, there's a certain order of holiness that we don't even consider. He said, sanctify yourself. Go wash your clothes. We won't even consider what else you did in those clothes. What else were you doing? We won't even consider that. He said, why wash your clothes for you present yourself before me? Wash your skin, wash your clothes, sanctify yourself. Then come talk to me. That's why the tabernacle was set apart. He said, if I want to dwell amongst you, I love the children of Israel, but if I dwell among you, I'm going to have to kill you. Because you going to do something and come in the presence of holiness and you going to give me no choice. So it was his grace and mercy when he separated it. Here. Put it over here. And look at the blessing of Yahweh. He did the same thing again. Our sanctuary is completely set apart from everything else. You have to watch how he operates. We didn't have to do any other thing in our sanctuary but the things concerning Yahweh. Everything else, we closed that door, we locked it, we did everything else in other places. And he has blessed us once again the same way. So let it be muscle memory. Hey, you don't do everything in the sanctuary. Go ahead.
And it came to pass on the third day in the morning that there were thunders and lightnings, and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, so that all the people that was in the camp trembled.
Not loud, exceeding loud. There's a loud that causes the manliest of man to tremble. We might not want to admit it, but there's a loud that gets your attention. This is exceeding loud. Go ahead.
And Moshe brought forth the people out of the camp to meet with Elohim, and they stood at the nether part of the mount. And Mount Sinai was altogether on a smoke, because Yahweh descended upon it in fire, and the smoke thereof ascended as the smoke of a furnace, and the whole mount quaked greatly. And when the voice of the trumpet sounded long, and waxed louder and louder, Moshe spake, and Elohim answered him by a voice.
When the voice of the trumpet sounded long and waxed louder and louder, Moshe spake. We have to understand that the power of the trumpet, even when he talks about his watchman, calls that the watchman sounds the trumpet. The watchman then becomes the trumpet. That doesn't mean everybody can hear the frequency of that sound. Go ahead.
And Yahweh came down upon Mount Sinai, on the top of the mountain. And Yahweh called Moshe up to the top of the mountain, and Moshe went up.
All right. Let's jump to chapter 20. I want you to start at verse 8.
Okay. Exodus chapter 20 and verse 8. Remember the Shabbat day to keep it holy.
Now, somehow, the most educated of individuals have gone past this. This somehow has no value amongst the highly educated. They know it's there, but they have decided. When you talk about the frequency of being able to hear, because you have these senses, they're connected between your sight, your hearing. We have the 10 Commandments at the front door. The church down the street got 10 Commandments at the front door too. But the frequency of remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy does not resonate with them. They know it's there. They see it. They read it. Even when they read it, they can't hear it. They have been desensitized to that sound. But it's right there. They know it's there. The very same things that we have on our wall right at the door, they got on the wall at that door. How is it they can read it? They can see it, but they still can't hear it. Go ahead.
6 days shall you labor and do all your work. But the seventh day is the Shabbat of Yahweh, your Elohim. In it you shall not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your cattle, nor your stranger that is within your gates.
Now, it says the seventh day is a Sabbath. You should not do any work, right? This is how you have to be careful about the frequency in which you hear. I remember there were people who called themselves elders who were passing around these teachings from some other people, and it was a really large Gentile organization, and they said, you should not fast on atonement. Not working was the affliction. And then you got our people passing this doctrine around, and they bragging about it. Yeah, man, you should listen to this. I don't want to listen to that. What I need to figure out is how you heard that. How did you hear that not working was an affliction? And I'm talking about, go look it up. They got hundreds of thousands of views. So it never said anything about that. Just not working is affliction. Maybe if you were born with a silver spoon in your mouth, maybe it's something else. Maybe that's some other kind of thing. But you don't understand. If that's the case, then every Sabbath is an affliction. Now, if that don't sound like the devil, I don't know what is. He flipped Yahweh's thing. Now, how was that individual able to hear that? They was tuned in to a different frequency. Soon as it hit my ear, my junk meter went off. If you have your spam blocker on right, it's certain emails you don't never get. Everybody was talking about, man, did you see the little monkey in the shorts? No, I didn't see the monkey in the shorts. No, man, the monkey in the short, it came to all our email. Didn't come to mine. What happened? It went right to my junk folder. Right. Go ahead.
Verse 11. For in 6 days Yahweh made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore Yahweh blessed the Shabbat day and hallowed it. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which Yahweh your Elohim gives you. You shall not kill. You shall not commit adultery. You shall not steal.
Now, it's interesting that even the frequency of these commandments has been altered, because even though we have you shall not commit adultery, now the frequency has not been totally tuned out. The frequency of that has been changed. So they are able to hear you shall not commit adultery. What they did was change adultery. See, there's different ways to change the frequency. See, the frequency of that sound has been changed so that adultery doesn't mean adultery per se. But isn't that what the adversary said? You won't surely die. Okay, go ahead.
You shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his manservant, nor his maidservant, nor his ox, nor his ass.
Now, everything that we are shown in this society pushes us to covet. Everything. This entire television setup is all about coveting. They can't really have a program until they figure out who's going to be the sponsor. Go ahead.
Nor anything that is your neighbor's. And all the people saw the thunderings and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they were moved and stood afar off. And they said unto Moshe, Speak you with us, and we will hear. But let not Elohim speak with us, lest we die. And Moshe said unto the people, Fear not.
Fear not. They said, look, we can't receive this frequency right here. I feel like I'm gonna die if I listen to this. What was that? Something went right in their heart. That's why you can't hear this. Go ahead.
For Elohim is come to prove you, and that his fear may be before your faces, that you sin not. And the people stood afar off, and Moshe drew near unto the thick darkness where Elohim was.
Right. So now you have two different abilities to hear, where the people went the other way. Moshe went toward it. There was something in him that allowed for him to be able to hear that without taking off and running. Let's go to John chapter 8. See, we have to get ready for that time where we're going to hear turn not to the left, turn not to the right, but straight ahead. That when we get in a place where we're encountering some things, we're receiving instructions right there. But will we be able to hear? Yohanan chapter 8, and we're going to read verses 31 through 47.
Then said Yahshua to those Yehudis which believed on him, If you continue in my word, then are you my disciples indeed, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. They answered him, We be Abraham's seed, and were never in bondage to any man. How saith you, you shall be made free? Yahshua answered them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, whosoever commits sin is the servant of sin. And the servant abides not in the house forever, but the Son abides forever. If the Son therefore shall make you free, you shall be free indeed. I know that you are Abraham's seed, but you seek to kill me, because my word has no place in you.
Now, this is what happens. When they can't hear what's proceeding out of his mouth, the anger is in them. He says, but you seek to kill me. Why? Because my words have no place in you. See, I'm FM, you AM. You're not able to receive the things that proceed out of my mouth. And what does it do? It then makes those angry. So we have to be careful. See, we like to hang around a whole lot of people. You have to wonder, what is the frequency of what they hear? And if that is drastically different than what you're dealing with, you might end up with some issues. Go ahead.
I speak that which I have seen with my father, and you do that which you have seen with your father. They answered and said unto him, Abraham is our father. Yahshua says unto them, If you were Abraham's children, you would do the works of Abraham.
Why was that their answer? You understand they went natural, right? Why was the reply not, we're Elohim's children? We're the children of God. Why was that not their answer? They went straight carnal. We be Abraham's seed. Go ahead.
But now you seek to kill me, a man that has told you the truth, which I've heard of Elohim. This did not Abraham. You do the deeds of your father. Then said they to him, We be not born of fornication. We have one father, even Elohim. Yahshua says unto them, If Elohim were your father, you would love me.
If Elohim were your father, you would love me. Why? Because my words wouldn't sound strange to you. See, you start teaching and people say, oh, no, I don't like the way he teaches. Yeah, there's a reason why. Those who were sent to Yahshua, they didn't have a problem hearing him. Those who were not sent, they had a problem hearing him. Go ahead.
For I proceeded forth and came from Elohim. Neither came I of myself, but he sent me. Why do you not understand my speech? Even because you cannot hear my word. You are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do.
You are of your father the devil, and the lust of your father you will do. You can't hear my word. Go ahead.
He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaks a lie, he speaks it of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it. And because I tell you the truth, you believe me not. Which of you convinced me of sin?
Right. You have all of these so-called altercations. People will say, I don't like this brother. I don't like the way they doing this. I don't like that. Where is the sin that the individual committed against you? Bring forth the law and the deed. You got to show up with two things. This is what the law says. This is what he did. You find out that that's not what folk have a problem with. It's a bunch of cackling. I don't like the way they did this. Bruh, there's no commandment about doing that. That's you off in your feelings. You need to get up off out your feelings. Ain't no commandments for that what you got a problem with. Go ahead.
And if I say the truth, why do you not believe me? He that is of Elohim hears Elohim's words.
He that is of Elohim hears Elohim words. Man, dogs don't have a problem communicating with other dogs. Dolphins don't have a problem communicating with other dolphins. They're able to go together, move together. They speak the same language. But when you come down to men, we all have the same ears, but we don't speak the same language. I'm not talking about the physical language. See, there's other things that causes us to be able to hear or not hear. Go ahead.
You therefore hear them not, because you are not of Elohim.
Right. Let's go to chapter 10. And we're going to read verses 1 through 16.
Verse 1. Verily, verily, I say unto you, he that enters not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbs up some other way, the same as a thief and a robber.
He that enters not by the door into the sheepfold, but climbs up some other way is the same as a thief and a robber. Why didn't you come through the door? I never seen a man, go to work all day, come home, get his lunch bag, get his thermos, get out the car, walk around the back and climb in the window. I ain't never seen it. There's a reason for that. You have to watch how some things move. Wait a minute. The front door right there. So you have to start looking at situations. Well, wait a minute. And say, well, I got a problem with this. I got a problem with that. Well, there go the front door right there. Go tell the front door. Why are you in the backyard? When you come home and your neighbor's standing on your back patio, your tentacle's supposed to go up in there. Hey, whoa. Hey, man, I double back because I forgot something. Bro, why you in my backyard? If you wanted something, you should have went to the door and rung the doorbell. What came for you to see? Right. Go ahead.
But he that enters in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. To him the porter opens, and the sheep hear his voice, and he calls his own sheep by name and leads them out.
Right. It says, but he that enters in by the door is the shepherd of the sheep. So if somebody had some issues, all they had to do was go to the front door. Guess who you were going to find at the front door? The shepherd. You can get all your questions answered right there at the front door. The fact that you back there by the shed and the shepherd is at the front door, that's a problem. Go ahead.
And when he puts forth his own sheep, He goes before them,
Uh-huh.
and the sheep follow him, for they know his voice.
They know his voice. See, when people start to get led astray by doctrines and things, at some point the question has to come about, how did you get led about with that? What sounded good about that? Go ahead.
And a stranger will they not follow, but will flee from him, for they know not the voice of strangers.
Right. This is why the adversaries have to catch you in your infancy. They have to catch you while you're new in the word and throw all these doctrines at you, throw all these things at you. Because they figure you hadn't learned how to defend yourself yet. Now, when you first get to high school, you know, you find there's a bunch of big bad 12th graders up there. You're a sub freshman. They come through there and they slap you in the back of the head. They do that. They're not slapping the people in the back of the head that's in the same grade they in. They catching the sub freshmen. They you can see the greenness in their eyes. They don't know what no classroom at. They don't know nothing. But sometimes there's an 8th grader that even the 12th grader said, we're not gonna slap him. Look at his spelling book. It's got the same highlight right here. Go on and slap him. No. Now how they get that memo? They looked and said, you know what? This don't look like it's gonna be profitable to slap this one. Right. Go ahead.
This parable spake Yahshua unto them, but they understood not what things they were which he spake unto them. Then said Yahshua unto them again, Verily, verily, I say unto you, I am the door of the sheep. All that ever came before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep did not hear them. I am the door. By me, if any man enters in, he shall be saved, and shall go in and out, and find pasture. The thief comes not, but for to steal and to kill and to destroy.
And to destroy. Wait a minute. When you think about destruction, you have to think about destruction in all shape, fashions, and forms. Destruction. If you're trying to build something and the thief comes and says, you know what? I don't think we ought to do it this way. Then he came to destroy. Go ahead.
I am come that they might have life, and that they might have it more abundantly. I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd gives his life for the sheep.
Right.
But he that is an hireling, and not the shepherd whose own the sheep are not, sees the wolf coming, and leaves the sheep, and flees, and the wolf catches them, and scatters the sheep.
The hireling doesn't care what happened to the sheep. Got all this stuff to say, but the hireling does not care. The hireling is taking care of the hireling. The shepherd put his life on the line. The shepherd put his livelihood on the line. The shepherd put his pocketbook on the line. The hireling just flees. The hireling is there as long as everything works out. That's why you need some hard times. Sometimes we done locked up with a hireling and we think we got something. No. What you need is some hard times. And you trying to avoid all the hard times. No. That's why you don't know who are real around you. Get a little bit of hard time. Watch how fast that hireling flee. Now you are much better off than you were yesterday. You might not think so. Well, I looked at my checkbook, and my checkbook got that funny money, and I got Monopoly. I got orange 20s. But guess what you know now that you didn't know yesterday? Now, when you get that money back, hireling not going to be able to coach you out of it. See? Now the adversary got to send another minion because he can't use that one no more. Go ahead.
The hireling flees because he is an hireling and cares not for the sheep. I am the good shepherd and know my sheep, and I'm known of mine.
You know, when you look at this, you know, because me and you were having some conversations. The hireling flees because he is a hireling. A lot of times we look at flee differently. Like, if this was your job and your job said, you know what? You have been late 4 times. We're going to dock you 3 days pay. You not coming back in here for 3 days. Do you then get so upset that you never go back to the job? Then that means we got a pride issue then, right? Because when it comes down to that, you know what? I'm not fleeing. This is what it is I say that I'm about. Why would I flee because something didn't work out? See, we got to look at fleeing, take it out of the field with the wolf, take it down there to the office where you work. What little thing can happen that make you just flee? Then you wasn't really into that. Go ahead.
As the Father knows me, even so know I the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep. And other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them also I must bring, and they shall hear my voice, and there shall be one fold and one shepherd.
Other sheep I have, which are not of this fold, them I also must bring, and they shall hear my voice. That is also a lesson for us, because the frequency in which the Messiah is speaking, other people are able to hear that other than you. And other people who have not studied with you. See, the frequency is the frequency. The frequency ain't just the frequency because we're in this building. Yahweh might have some other sheep down the street. And when he speak, they're able to hear that same frequency. Not because they were with us or because they were with these other people, because they hear the same frequency that Yahshua speaks in. And it doesn't matter who spoke it. Go ahead, bro.
You know, you're talking about that whole thing of fleeing on the job, and you know, the righteousness of wise counsel. We've had situations where the same thing, brothers on the job, and they say, nah, you're going to take the next couple of days off. And they say, well, I packed my stuff and left. You did what? And then once he told us the story, we sat down and said, no. They gave you X amount of days off. You take them days off and you return back to work. They did it. They still got the job, right?
Right.
But when you go to those who going to be on your side, now you jobless.
Right. Yeah, a lot of times, man, we want people who going to agree with us, and they will agree with us right to the grave and help us. All that agreeing, you might as well go ahead and get the shovel and go ahead and just make the hole big enough to fit everything they got in it. Because you just agreeing with them and they just getting deeper and deeper in. Let's go to 1 Kings chapter 19. See, when you love somebody, you got to love them enough to fight with them.
Folks say, wait a minute, what's love and fighting got to do with each other?
Brother, they hand in hand. They hand in hand, Jack.
You know, brother, I don't even mean to interrupt. The brother's still on the same job and got a higher position. But yet he was ready to flee.
Well, when you examine that, brother, what you say about counsel, it's good to have good counsel. See, some of us, we can only, we get counseling from the wrong areas. See, all our counseling is pillow talk. See, when all your counsel come from somebody who have pajamas with no legs on them, then that counsel is different. See, you got to be able to get counsel from somebody whose pajamas look just like yours. I mean, your counsel ain't all in the same house. You got to be able to get some counsel from somebody who been in the same situation. That means a woman got to be able to talk to another woman. A man got to be able to talk to another man. You can't just go and pillow talk your way to all situations. And then you got to be careful who you talking to. Because sometimes, folks get to arguing, my man doing such and such. You better watch who you complaining to. Because that sister you complaining to, she like that very thing that you say.
He always leaving his stinking socks all over the floor.
And the sister you talking to saying,
I love stinking socks.
okay, keep it up. Keep it up. Go ahead, brother.
1 Kings chapter 19 and verse 1. And Ahab told Jezebel all that Elijah had done, and withal how he had slain all the prophets with the sword. Then Jezebel sent a messenger unto Elijah, saying, So let the gods do to me, and more also, if I make not your life as the life of one of them by tomorrow about this time. And when he saw that, he arose and went for his life, and came to Beersheba, which belongs to Yehudah, and left his servant there.
You talking about people who are doing what they're supposed to do, but having to get up and run for their life. We think the exact opposite. We think that if we're doing what we're supposed to do, we should not be moved. Matter of fact, that's how we judge whether or not we're doing right or not. Go ahead.
But he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, and came and sat down under a juniper tree. And he requested for himself that he might die, and said, It is enough. Now, O Yahweh, take away my life, for I am no better than my fathers. And as he lay and slept under the juniper tree, behold, then an angel touched him, and said unto him, Arise and eat. And he looked, and behold, there was a cake baking on the coals, and a cruse of water at his head. And he did eat and drink, and laid him down again. And the angel of Yahweh came again the second time, and touched him, and said, Arise and eat, because the journey is too great for you. And he arose, and did eat and drink, and went in the strength of that meat 40 days and 40 nights unto Horeb, the mount of Elohim.
So he has a great journey ahead of him, and Yahweh sends him some nourishment so that he can make it there. But he giving you just enough to make it there. He not giving you enough to go to the juke joint on the con. He didn't give you that much food. You ain't got that much energy. This first of all, this a holy journey. This is a 40 days. This is a lot here. Every stop you make, taken away. The only thing he done provided for you for is the stops that you have to make. He didn't provide for those other ones. So if you get to the point where you say, you know what, man, on 36 days, I keeled over and all of this, my body shut down. Go back and find them 4 days. He didn't drop you off. You went somewhere you weren't supposed to go. Go ahead.
And he came thither unto a cave, and lodged there. And, behold, the word of Yahweh came to him, and he said unto him, What doeth you here, Elijah? And he said, I have been very jealous for Yahweh Elohim of hosts, for the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and slain your prophets with the sword, and I, even I only, am left, and they seek my life to take it away.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, Go forth, and stand upon the mount before Yahweh. And, behold, Yahweh passed by, and a great and a strong wind rent the mountains and brake in pieces the rocks before Yahweh.
Wait a minute. You got to absorb this. And he said, Go forth and stand upon the mount before Yahweh. And behold, Yahweh passed by, and a great and strong wind tore the mountain and brake in pieces the rocks. Go ahead.
But Yahweh was not in the wind. And after the wind, an earthquake. But Yahweh was not in the earthquake. And after the earthquake, a fire. but Yahweh was not in the fire.
Uh-huh.
And after the fire, a still small voice. And it was so, when Elijah heard it, that he wrapped his face in his mantle and went out and stood in the entering in of the cave.
So is this where we get the group earth, wind, and fire? Because I mean, it's in that verse, the earth, the wind, and the fire. But he wasn't in that. Go ahead.
And behold, there came a voice unto him and said, What doeth you here, Elijah? And he said, I have been very jealous for Yahweh Elohim of hosts, because the children of Israel have forsaken your covenant, thrown down your altars, and slain your prophets with the sword. And I, even I only, am left, and they seek my life to take it away. And Yahweh said unto him, Go, return on your way to the wilderness of Damascus. And when you cometh, anoint Hazael to be king over Syria. And Jehu the son of Nimshi shall you anoint to be king over Israel. And Elisha the son of Shaphat of Abel Metholah shall you anoint to be prophet in your room.
Keep going.
And it shall come to pass that him that escapeth the sword of Hazael shall Jehu slay, and him that escapeth from the sword of Jehu shall Elisha slay.
When it says that when a man's ways please Elohim, he makes even his enemies to be at peace with him. Yahweh said, don't worry about it. I got you. I got you. And not by your own strength will you be pushed to do this. Let's go to 2 Samuel chapter 22. Because with all of this power that we've heard about, okay, Yahweh came to him in a soft, still voice. Mm-hmm. Wait a minute. It was all this other power. But look at what all he went through. Look at what all he had encountered. Second Samuel 22, and we're going to start that at verse 18.
He delivered me from my strong enemy and from them that hated me, for they were too strong for me.
Mm-hmm.
They prevented me in the day of my calamity, but Yahweh was my stay. He brought me forth also into a large place. He delivered me, because he delighted in me. Yahweh rewarded me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands, as he recompensed me. For I've kept the ways of Yahweh, and have not wickedly departed from my Elohim.
Mm-hmm.
For all his judgments were before me, and as for his statutes, I did not depart from them. I was also upright before him, and have kept myself from my lawlessness. Therefore, Yahweh has recompensed me according to my righteousness, according to my cleanness in his eyesight. With the merciful, you will show yourself merciful. And with the upright man, you will show yourself upright.
All right. Go ahead.
With the pure, you shall show yourself pure. And with the froward, you shall show yourself unsavory.
Right. So then they get the frequency of how they operate. Yahweh had decided that I'm going to speak to him in this soft, still voice. But he still showed him his power. He just didn't speak to him in it. He showed him the earth. He showed him the wind. He showed him the fire. He just didn't talk to him. See, some people don't have to feel Yahweh's power to know he got it. Then there's others that he really have to punch dead in their face so that they understand, oh no, he real. Other people, they don't have to do that. They can receive a soft, still voice and know I ain't crossing that line. Why? Because I seen his power. He didn't talk to me in it. He didn't scare me. But he let me behold his power off to the side. But he talked to me soft. Interesting. Let's go to John chapter 17. Yohanan chapter 17. If Yahweh, this is something that we have to be honest with ourselves about. If Yahweh came and talked to you in a soft, still voice, would you still do what he was trying to get you to do? See, this is where you have to learn how to be honest with yourself. This is where you have to understand how you made. If he come to you with that still voice, you're going to keep trying to take advantage. You have to ask yourself, how did Israel get in such bad graces with Yahweh? How? The more he sat back and waited, the more we did. So the nice God gets stepped on. But once he get angry, start snatching away his food and stopping the rain. Now everybody, oh, your covenants, oh, we love you so, oh, we so sorry. Right? People the same way. You keep being nice, they just step right on you. They don't even think that doing anything for you don't mean nothing. Then you start acting a monkey, taking your stuff back. All of a sudden, people remember the love. It's human nature. But why we have to be like that? Go ahead, bro.
Yohanan chapter 17 and verse 6. I have manifested your name unto the men which you gave me out of the world. Yours they were, and you gave them me, and they have kept your word. Now they have known that all things whatsoever you have given me are of you. For I have given unto them the words which you gave me, and they have received them, and have known surely that I came out from you, and they have believed that you did send me.
There's no way you can read this New Testament and believe that Jesus is God. I don't know what book they're reading. I don't know what book they're reading. None of this says that. And this is the part that everybody claim they believe in.
See, we don't believe in that Old Testament. See, y'all dealing with that mean God. See, we deal with love. Our God is loving.
Read this red writing and see how fast them Sunday people get away from you. Find anything written in red, start reading it. Go ahead.
I pray for them. I pray not for the world, but for them which you have given me, for they are yours.
I don't pray for the world. I pray for them. And see, here it is. We feel some kind of way. When folks come, we get pushed into prayer. Here it is. You got the power in your hand because of who you are, the God you serve. And then you let somebody push you.
Pray for my cousin.
Who is your cousin?
Junebug Nem.
Who is Junebug Nem? But now they done made you feel some kind of way, and
You know what? I'll pray for Junebug Nem.
how did Junebug Nem get in the predicament that they was in? And when they get out, who they gonna think? But you let somebody push you into saying, yeah, I pray for you. Yeshua said straight up, I ain't praying for them. What? I don't pray for them. I pray for these. I'm not praying for those. I told you, got these knuckles and you got those knuckles. He's like, I'm not praying for those knuckles. I'm not praying for them. Go ahead.
And all mine are yours, and yours are mine, and I am glorified in them. And now I am no more in the world, but these are in the world, and I come to you. Holy Father, keep through your own name those whom you have given me, that they may be one as we are one. While I was with them in the world, I kept them in your name. Those that you gave me I have kept, and none of them is lost, but the son of perdition, that the scripture might be fulfilled.
The son of perdition was already lost from the beginning of the story. He's like, I haven't lost any but the son of perdition, but you already know that he couldn't stay. There ain't nothing you can do to keep the son of perdition because he has a job to do. Go ahead.
And now come I to you, and these things I speak in the world, that they might have my joy fulfilled in themselves. I have given them your word, And the world has hated them because they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world.
All right. So then those who have a different frequency of hearing, they can't hear the trumpet. See, they can't hear the note of the trumpet. See, I have watched this choir grow. I watched as Mother Lael taught them notes and stuff like that. And just how they have built up. But I was also sitting there in the beginning, and you could put a note in some of their hand, and that note would fall right to the ground. They couldn't carry the note. If you gave them a basket, put some super glue on both hands, drop the note in there. But what happened? They kept going. And they started hearing different. See, we think it's all about, oh, I can sing different. No, you didn't. You didn't sing different. You heard different. One day it finally clicked. Oh, that's the note. You can't sing it till you hear it. You didn't sing the note, you heard it. Once you hear it and you recognize what it is, then you can mimic it. All children do is hear you do something and mimic it. They didn't learn to speak. They heard to speak. They heard it. Once they recognized what they were hearing, they were able to reproduce it. Go ahead.
I pray not that you should take them out of the world, but that you should keep them from the evil. They are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. Sanctify them through your truth. Your word is truth. As you have sent me into the world, even so have I also sent them into the world. And for their sakes I sanctify myself, that they also might be sanctified through the truth. Neither pray I for these alone, but for them also which shall believe on me through their word.
Right. So then this gift becomes ongoing. So that whole thing that we only want to deal with Yahweh himself, you ain't dealing with Yahweh. You ain't got it like that. We ain't got it like that. You're going to deal with a man who dealt with a man who dealt with a man who dealt with a man. Go ahead.
That they all may be one, as you, Father, are in me, and I in you.
What is this one thing that he keeps talking about? See, now you're talking about notes that may be different, but they sing as one. Wait a minute. So you can have different notes, but still go along together, and they still one. 15 people singing ain't supposed to sound like 15 songs. It's supposed to sound like 15 people singing one song. Go ahead.
That they also may be one in us, that the world may believe that you have sent me. And the glory which you gave me I have given them, that they may be one, even as we are one. I in them, and you in me, that they may be made perfect in one, and that the world may know that you have sent me, and has loved them as you have loved me. Father, I will that they also, whom you have given me, be with me where I am, that they may behold my glory which you have given me. For you loved me before the foundation of the world.
This is where helps them go, because they don't understand Israel dwelling in that body. This is where they start to get confused, and they said, most definitely he is God. He is talking to himself about himself. Go ahead.
O righteous Father, the world has not known you, but I have known you. But these have known that you have sent me. And I have declared unto them your name, and will declare it, that the love wherewith you have loved me may be in them, and I in them.
So the ones who understand this also know his name. That's interesting. So the frequency of hearing these other things are also connected with those who can hear the name. That is Quite interesting. Let's go to 1 John chapter 2. First John chapter 2, and let's start that at verse 1.
My little children, these things write I unto you, that you sin not. And if any man sin, we have an advocate with the Father, Yahshua HaMashiach, the righteous. And he is the propitiation for our sins.
He is the atonement sacrifice for our sins. Go ahead.
And not for ours only, but also for the sins of the whole world. And hereby we do know that we know him, if we keep his commandments.
Yeah. Other people read this same thing. They read, yes, we must keep his commandments. But then the frequency that they have learned to reject is right when it get to the part about the Sabbath, right when it get down to those things, the hearing goes out. I mean, we watch television program and all of a sudden something go out. We wonder, hey man, the TV went out for 15 seconds. What happened in them 15? Go ahead.
He that says, I know him, and keeps not his commandments is a liar, and the truth is not in him. But whoso keeps his word, in him verily is the love of Elohim perfected. Hereby know we that we are in him. He that says he abides in him, ought himself also so to walk, even as he walked. Brethren, I write no new commandment unto you, but an old commandment which you had from the beginning. The old commandment is the word which you have heard from the beginning. Again, a new commandment I write unto you, which thing is true in him and in you, because the darkness is past and the true light now shines. He that says he is in the light and hates his brother is in darkness even until now. He that loves his brother abides in the light, and there is none occasion of stumbling in him. But he that hates his brother is in darkness and walks in darkness and knows not whither he goes, because that darkness has blinded his eyes.
Check that out. The darkness has blinded his eyes. So what happens? That has now affected how he sees. If it now affects how he sees, it affects how he hears. Go ahead.
I write unto you, little children, because your sins are forgiven you for his name's sake. I write unto you, fathers, because you have known him that is from the beginning. I write unto you, young men, because you have overcome the wicked one. I write unto you, little children, because you have known the Father. I have written unto you, fathers, because you have known him that is from the beginning. I have written unto you, young men, because you are strong, and the word of Elohim abides in you, and you have overcome the wicked one. Love not the world, neither the things that are in the world. If any man loves the world, the love of the Father is not in him.
Right. So these two things then are fighting against one another. You got the love of Elohim and the love of the world, and they are going hand in hand against one another. And we can't figure out what ended up happening unto us. You got more love for the world than you do for your God. Your words say one thing, but your actions say something else. Go ahead.
For all that is in the world, the lust of the flesh, and the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, is not of the Father, but is of the world. And the world passes away, and the lust thereof. But he that does the will of Elohim abides forever. Little children, it is the last time, and as you have heard that Antichrist shall come, even now are there many Antichrists, whereby we know that it is the last time. They went out from us, but they were not of us. For if they had been of us, they would no doubt have continued with us. But they went out, that they might be made manifest that they were not all of us.
Right. So then what was that? We're talking about a different frequency here. We're talking about a different ability to hear. Now, when you talk about the lust of the eyes, once one sense is taken away, it affects the other. And once we are at a point where we can't hear something, then how we see other things is going to be affected. This country uses the lust of our eyes against us. Now, a commercial is designed to get you to desire a company's product. If commercials stopped there, it would be okay. But commercials also are put together for you to crave a way of life. And that life is most likely one of covetousness. These ads teach you covetousness so as to make you okay with desiring that company's product. If it just so happens to ruin the rest of your life, then so be it, as long as you purchase the product. So-called reality television is made for you to desire the lives of the people you see. But the coveting of the people we see does not end with the individuals on the screen. Once we are tuned in to the frequency of covetousness, it now becomes hearable even when the TV is not on. We witness other people's lives and envision ourselves in it. We see ourselves with their cars, their houses, even their spouses. We must learn to tune out certain frequencies so that they are inaudible unto our ears and unto our consciousness. Let's go to Acts chapter 9. See, the adversary of the devil will start at something that you may say, this is just a simple thing. Yeah, give him a minute. Once he gets you to be okay with one thing, Acts chapter 9, and we're going to start that at verse 1.
And Saul, yet breathing out threatenings and slaughter against the disciples of the Adonai, went on to the high priest, and desired of him letters to Damascus to the synagogues, that if he found any of this way, whether they were men or women, he might bring them bound unto Jerusalem. And as he journeyed, he came near Damascus, and suddenly there shined round about him a light from heaven. And he fell to the earth, and heard a voice saying unto him, Saul, Saul, why persecute you me? And he said, Who are you, Adonai? And the Adonai said, I am Yahshua whom you persecuted. It is hard for you to kick against the pricks.
Right, now understand now, I'm Yahshua whom you persecute. He didn't persecute Yahshua physically. He persecuted the people who were following Yahshua. Go ahead.
And he, trembling and astonished, said, Adonai, what will you have me to do?
You see that? When a person is able to hear, he has letters, meaning he has authority. Letters mean a license. He has a license to do everything that he was doing, which means that he was legal with what he was doing. But as soon as this came to him, he heard immediately. Changed immediately. Go ahead.
And the Adonai said unto him, Arise, and go into the city, and it shall be told you what you must do. And when the men which journeyed with him stood speechless, hearing a voice, but seeing no man, and Saul arose from the earth. When his eyes were opened, he saw no man, but they led him by the hand and brought him into Damascus. And he was there 3 days without sight, and neither did eat nor drink. And there was a certain disciple at Damascus named Ananias. And to him said the Adonai in a vision, Ananias. And he said, Behold, I am here, Adonai. And the Adonai said unto him, Arise and go into the street which is called Straight, and inquire in the house of Yehudis for one called Saul of Tarsus. For behold, he prays.
Now, we have to get it through our head that everything that Yahweh asks you to do, you ain't gonna like. Matter of fact, you're not gonna even understand. Here's a disciple, a diligent, obedient individual, but he don't understand this job here. Why would you go and send me to the guy who's persecuting all of us? You trying to get me killed? Go ahead.
And had seen in a vision a man named Ananias coming in and putting his hand on it, that he might receive his sight. Then Ananias answered, Adonai, I have heard by many of this man how much evil he has done to your saints at Jerusalem. And here he has authority from the chief priest to bind all that call on your name.
He has authority. He done evil and he got authority. Why you won't deal with him? Go ahead.
But the Adonai said unto him, Go your way, for he is a chosen vessel unto me to bear my name before the Gentiles and kings and the children of Israel. For I'll show him how great things he must suffer for my name's sake.
He must suffer for my name's sake. Go ahead.
And Ananias went his way and entered into the house.
Another obedient servant. He asked the question because he was like, I don't know if maybe you got the wrong man. No, I got the right man. But obedient servant went and did what he did not believe in. But he believed in his Elohim. Go ahead.
And putting his hands on him, said, Brother Saul, the Adonai, even Yahshua, that appeared unto you in the way as you cameth, has sent me, that you might receive your sight and be filled with the Holy Spirit. And immediately there fell from his eyes as it had been scales, and he received sight forthwith, and arose, and was baptized. And when he had received meat, he was strengthened. Then was Saul certain days with the disciples which were at Damascus.
So then we have to examine what has happened there. Sometimes you find people who have suffered great loss have a tendency to hear loss in everything that is spoken. Their life experiences have programmed the way in which they hear. Saul was given a new frequency that day. How he operates after that shows that he no longer looked at loss the same way that he did before. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 12. Second Corinthians chapter 12, and we're going to read verses 7 through 14.
Verse 7. And lest I should be exalted above measure through the abundance of the revelations, there was given to me a thorn in the flesh, the messenger of Satan to buffet me, lest I should be exalted above measure.
You know, one of the things that we have to really, really ask ourselves, and we have to be honest, are we negatively motivated? Something he had to give Saul the understanding about. At some point, he had to realize that he's negatively motivated. See, if he gives you a job and this job has all of these pitfalls in it, if you're one of those people that every time something don't go right, now you're depressed and now you hanging off the edge. And now you done found yourself deep in the bottle. But if you negatively motivated and then this negative comes, then that ends up being the fuel. You ever watch one of them fights and a guy get rocked? I mean, he rocked, and some of them you'll see him. It took all the life out of him. They done. Then there's some that they got rocked, and they acknowledge it. But now they like, who you hit me? Who you got me? Oh, it's about to go down now. Now you in trouble now. Because this dude is negatively motivated and you have negatively slapped him so hard. The motivation is coming from the bottom. It's stirring him up. He got strength that he didn't have before. Why? He's negatively motivated. I wonder how long it took Saul to realize that he was negatively motivated. Read, bro.
I mean, you got to think about even the situation with Saul. Saul was used to getting what he wanted. He wouldn't ask for letters, they gave him letters.
Uh-huh.
And now your life upside down where nobody really trusts you.
Uh-huh. But check out what happened with it. Go ahead.
For this thing, I besought the Adonai 3 times that it might depart from me. And he said unto me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness.
No, I got you. No, I ain't taking it away. Now, this is going to serve some purpose in your life. Go ahead.
Most gladly, therefore, will I rather glory in my infirmities.
Wait a minute. Now he glorying in infirmities. Wait a minute. Who glories in infirmities, bro? Who does that? That ain't the kind of stuff, you know what I'm saying, you go to hear. Very, very seldom do you hear people, you know, on Instagram talking about, you know what I'm saying,
How bad stuff is going and nigga.
No. Folks get on the internet and tell you how their life going wonderful. Now they cry once they stop posting. But while they posting, they the happiest people in the world. They got all the money, they got all the everything. He said, I'm glorying in infirmities. Go ahead.
That the power of Yahshua may rest upon me. Therefore I take pleasure in infirmities, in reproaches, in necessities, in persecutions, in distress for Yahshua's sake. For when I'm weak, then am I strong.
Wait a minute. What happened? He found out he was negatively motivated. You can keep on doing this to me. I ain't going to do nothing but get stronger. You can keep on doing it. I ain't going to do nothing but end up being more motivated. Go ahead.
I am become a fool in glorying. You have compelled me, for I ought to have been commended of you. For nothing am I behind the very chiefest apostle, though I be nothing. Truly the signs of an apostle were wrought among you in all patience, in signs and wonders and mighty deeds. For what is it wherein you were inferior to other churches, except it be that I myself was not burdensome to you? Forgive me this wrong.
What are you saying? For I was not burdensome unto you. I didn't make you pay for nothing that I had. Check that out. And did anybody I sent to you make merchandise of you? Read.
Behold, the 3rd time I am ready to come to you, and I'll not be burdensome to you. For I seek not yours, but you. For the children ought not to lay up for the parents, but the parents for the children.
Right. So he was taking care of his own business. Let's go to 1 Corinthians chapter 15. And we got one more after this. 1 Corinthians chapter 15. And I want to read verses 50 through 54.
Now this I say, brethren, that flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of Elohim, neither does corruption inherit incorruption. Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed.
Where shall I be when the trumpet sound? Go ahead.
For this corruptible must put on incorruption, and this mortal must put on immortality. So when this corruptible shall have put on incorruption, and this mortal shall have put on immortality, then shall be brought to pass the saying that is written, death is swallowed up in victory.
Now, death is swallowed up in victory, but we have to understand that is not for all. Everybody will not be able to hear the frequency of that trumpet. Let us hear the conclusion of this matter. Let's go to Revelation chapter 20. Revelation chapter 20. And I want to read verses 1 through 6.
Verse 1. And I saw an angel come down from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan, and bound him 1,000 years, and cast him into the bottomless pit, and shut him up, and set a seal upon him, that he should not deceive the nations. That he should deceive, the nations no more, till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. and after that he must be loosed a little season.
All right, so 1,000 years of peace. This is the sabbatical kingdom. Go ahead.
And I saw thrones, and they sat upon them, and judgment was given unto them. And I saw the souls of them that were beheaded for the witness of Yahshua, and for the word of Elohim, and which had not worshipped the beast, neither his image, neither had received his mark upon their foreheads or in their hands. And they lived and reigned with Yahshua 1,000 years. But the rest of the dead lived not again until the 1,000 years were finished. This is the first resurrection.
So they didn't hear that trumpet. They don't hear the trumpet now. Why would they hear the trumpet then? If you can't hear him now, you won't hear him then. And they are none the wiser. 1,000 years of peace. They sleeping through the whole thing. 1,000 years of sleep. Go ahead, brother.
Blessed and holy is he that has part in the first resurrection. On such the second death has no power, but they shall be priests of Elohim and of Yahshua, and shall reign with him 1,000 years.
All right, amen and amen. Let it be that we are able to hear the frequency of that trumpet when it sounds, that we will hear the frequency of that trumpet when it instructs us. Because that note can be played from any direction. Don't just get to the point where, oh, I can only hear it from that guy up front. Yahweh might have it come to you from somebody in the Walmart parking lot. Do you hear the frequency? That's all that we're going to do for tonight. Enjoy your feast. Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.